Hey everyone, Moshe Rothschild here for the Global Israel Alliance, bringing you the weekly news summary for week ending November 29th, 2019. I hope you're all enjoying your Thanksgiving weekend. It's one of the holidays that I miss very much, having made Aliyah 10 years ago. But I did have turkey soup yesterday. I hope that counts. Anyhow, this past Shabbat, tens of thousands, approximately 40 to 50,000 Jews spent Shabbat, the Sabbath, in the city of Hebron, to celebrate the reading of the Torah portion that discusses Abraham's purchase of the cave of Machpelah in Hebron to bury his wife Sarah. There are two other times in the Hebrew Bible where it mentions land was purchased. If you know where, send me an email and you will not win a prize, but I hope somebody responds with an email. This past Tuesday, the Palestinians declared it to be a day of rage. What were they raging about? They were raging that the United States declared the settlements no longer to be illegal, and the day of rage caused barely a whimper. Hardly a Palestinian took to the streets, and we didn't really see anything here in Israel. The free bus service started this past Shabbat in Tel Aviv. Now, this has caused a little bit of consternation in Israel. There are those who believe we should have bus service on Shabbat, and there are those who believe that no, this is a Jewish country, the Shabbat should be observed publicly, and there should be no bus service. So the compromise that this bus service was actually privately sponsored and it was free, but we will see. It's a developing story. Right now, it's limited to Tel Aviv. PepsiCo, the company which acquired SodaStream, announced that they're going to be expanding and will be hiring 1,500 more employees at its plant. The defense minister this week, Naftali Bennett, made a statement that I've been calling for years. He said that the Israeli policy of returning the bodies of terrorists will change. We will no longer return the bodies of terrorists. What ends up happening is someone commits an act of terror, we return the body, they're glorified, their graves are visited as a shrine, and it's, in my opinion, a terrible policy, considering that right now the family of Lieutenant Hadar Golden, whose body is still being held by the Hamas terrorists since 2014, is suffering because they don't have their son back. But meanwhile, Israel has returned the bodies of many terrorists. So I applaud Naftali Bennett for this decision. Around 8,000 people demonstrated in support of Prime Minister Netanyahu in Tel Aviv last night. The IDF Central Command grounded all its Sikorsky helicopters until further notice after a crash landing occurred during in the Negev Desert. No casualties were reported, though. This week, El Al has announced they will be testing direct flights to Australia. Good day, mate. And El Al has also reported a 30% decline in their revenues. Well, maybe if you'd improve your customer service, you might get an increase in revenues, but that's just me. This week also, Time Magazine listed the 100 most important developments in technology around the world, and 9 of them, that's almost 10%, were from Israel, including the most famous one, which you probably all know about, WaterGen, that basically can create safe, clean drinking water out of the humidity in the air, and it's literally like magic when you see it. Israeli startup Space.il has announced that they are going to try to land another spacecraft on the moon by 2022. If you remember, this past year, Israel tried to land a spacecraft and it crash landed on the moon. Well, I wouldn't quite call it crashing. Let's just say it's falling with style, as someone famous once said. In two very interesting medical developments this week, Israel has discovered, researchers at the Hebrew University published a new technique in chemotherapy that singles out cancer cells from the healthy ones, enabling cancer patients to receive less chemotherapy and more direct. In the past, the problem has been that the treatment has not been sufficiently specific and killing healthy cells along with the cancerous cells, which has led to some terrible side effects. Another interesting medical development in this week, in the pursuit of the cure for Alzheimer's, Israel has developed by using nanotechnology, been able to send some sort of chemical into the brain to prevent the development of these proteins that leads to Alzheimer's, and this could, in theory, if it pans out, lead to a cure for Alzheimer's. So, two incredible developments. So that's the news from Israel this week. This is Moshe Rothschild from the Global Israel Alliance wishing you a wonderful Shabbat. Now, I should mention, on December 8th, if you are anywhere near Tulsa, Oklahoma, we are having an Israel conference. It's going to be a very special event. It's our second annual Israel conference in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I urge you, go to our website, israelalliance.org, and you can sign up there. Wishing you a wonderful week. Have an enjoyable Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week.